Welcome to the Furlough Capital Real Estate Podcast, where we dive into the intricacies of passive real estate investing. And our mission is to equip people to invest wisely in both properties and residences so that together we can build wealth while improving housing. I'm James, and this is my wife, Jessie.
Hey, I ate at Subway today, and I was sorely disappointed.
Going back to your roots, because you used to work there.
Yeah, I think
at Subway.
Yeah, not that one, but yeah. I think maybe there was like management change, something.
Okay.
The most noticeable thing was they switched from Coke to Pepsi.
Oh, that's a big deal.
I went to this particular one because they had cherry Coke, and I love cherry Coke.
And they didn't
And
have it.
they didn't have it.
Did they have cherry Pepsi?
No.
Oh, just
They had three types of Pepsi: Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Zero, or no sugar or something.
Yeah, I think that's the new sugar. Is that what they call it? Because they don't want to say no sugar. They want to say sugar-free, which is zero. Interesting. Well, I'm sorry. So did you go to the store and get some cherry Coke afterwards?
No.
Man, that's rough.
I just dealt with it.
Just dealt with it.
But
man, that's tough. I feel for you. I really do.
Kind of wanted to like write one of those like notes to management or something.
Well, if you listen to last week's podcast, I drink water, so it's all good. But
I don't know. I should have had water.
yeah, you know what? Sometimes there are management changes, and that's really important. And so that's why today we're talking about the importance of an asset manager, because if you get a good one, it can really help your investments go forward. So, curious, do you know what an asset manager is?
Someone who manages assets.
It's nice. Can you say it without using the words?
Someone who takes care of other people's things.
Okay. All right. Okay. There's a really good book. It's called Best in Class: How to Manage Your Multifamily Asset, Avoid Mistakes, and Build Wealth Through Real Estate Investing by Kyle Mitchell. Which I always was like, I feel like this should be a book on hotels and customer service, but
Interesting.
you know, whatever.
With that title.
Or maybe
I think of a
talking
dog
about, like,
show.
Top Gun. Ooh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
Isn't that? I think there's a dog show movie called Best in Class
I think
or Best in Breed.
Best in Show.
Best in Show. Yes, it was Best in Show.
There you go. Nice.
Anyways,
this guy, Kyle Mitchell, he describes an asset manager as a professional responsible for overseeing the performance of a real estate investment, ensuring that the property aligns with the owner's financial goals, and guiding the property management team towards meeting their goals. Yeah, and
so it's specific
there's like
to
7 key things that they do.
property investment.
Yes. That's a good question.
Or at least it can
It's
be, but not all asset
specific.
managers are involved in real estate.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
I think you can have an asset manager. Can you have one for like stocks and bonds? I feel like you can.
Yeah,
It's whatever your
that
assets
seems
are,
like a
they're
thing.
managing it. Yeah.
But in this particular
but it does
case-
take on a specific, it is a specific skill set for real estate specifically. So if someone says, I'm like a syndicator, they're an asset manager because they're managing that asset, and there are at least 7 things that they have to do.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so I want to go over them. And so the reason why is if you're looking to passively invest in a deal, either as a lender or as an equity partner, you want to make sure that that sponsor is doing these things to manage that asset, the investment, well, so that if you have a good one, you will get good, consistent returns over time.
So am I hearing that correctly, that an asset manager and the sponsor, that's the same person? They're interchangeable?
An asset manager is a sponsor. A sponsor is not always an asset manager.
Interesting.
Like they might be like, sometimes a sponsor is a person like, oh, I do the fundraising piece, or I do the investor relations piece. So they might have specific jobs, but the operator, I would argue, is an asset manager.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of, because you can have sponsors, you can have multiple sponsors, and they can all have different roles. One of which is to operate, oversee the property. That is an asset manager.
Got it. Okay.
Cool.
I feel like there would be a good org chart tree thing that would be helpful to map that out.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
anyways, asset manager manages the property.
So if like there's 7 key things that they do. The first one is they set the strategy and goals for the property, such as, are we repositioning it? Are we renovating it or are we in stabilization mode for it? I think that's really important. They establish some of the financial targets like the NOI, cash flow, the overall returns for it. What are we looking for? Those are really important when you're getting into invest. This one's huge. They oversee property management.
Okay.
So they're not doing the day-to-day finding the tenants and that kind of thing, but they're making sure that that stuff happens. And
so they're like hiring a different property manager or?
Yeah, potentially. They're holding the property managers accountable.
Okay.
They have key performance indicators such as like occupancy rate, rent collections, and expense control. So they're watching over those things, analyzing, having conversations with the property manager, figuring out, hey, how can we make this better, easier for you?
Okay.
What feedback are you getting from tenants? And so we'll implement some of that feedback.
Yeah.
They also set the budget and financial oversight, which is huge. And
like for the entire project?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They analyze the profit and loss statements. They identify variances. They take corrective actions. They also will forecast future performance based on current trends. But yeah, for the entire project, whatever that is.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right? If you're doing the setting the strategy and the ROI, and sometimes it could be a team. It's not necessarily like a single person who's doing all this. But yeah. Number 4, they're maximizing value. Whatever that means. Well, in this case, they're making sure that the property's value can be whatever it is through rent increases, cost reductions, capital improvements, that kind of stuff, which is really like the whole point of the entire investment thing.
Yeah, they're making sure that investors make money.
They're often conducting market analysis to ensure competitive positioning, that kind of stuff as well. Number 5, even though I said this was a different role, investor relations and reporting.
Well, and like you're saying, it seems like most syndication people, companies, whatever, have a team of people doing these jobs.
Correct. Yeah.
It's not necessarily a singular asset manager. It's
just one guy without a team to put them out.
Right.
You might have one guy where it's like they do all the talking, they're the front man, they know everything. I mean, that's me. But then they do have other people who are helping out with stuffs.
Yeah, they have managers that they're working with or advisors or
In this case, providing updates to investors on their performance through reports and calls and ensuring distributions are accurate and timely. Very important role, I think.
Yeah.
I thought this was interesting. Number 6, capital expenditure management. So they oversee the major repairs, renovations, and improvements. So your property manager, they're going to focus on turns, making sure it's clean, doing small repairs, that kind of stuff, working with you on the budget for it. But when it comes to like, hey, we're doing this big renovation stuff, that's not for the PM to do. The asset manager is typically in charge.
That makes sense.
You may or may not hammer, but
you may or may not even have a property manager depending on what type of investment you're doing.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Like,
if
we're doing a flip or something like that. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, but they're overseeing the contractors, just making sure it's done on time and within budget. I think is important. And to be honest, it's really hard to do. Has been my experience.
Just in general asset management?
No. Because I got one more after this. Just overseeing the capital expenditure side of things.
Yeah.
Working with contractors. I seem to be pretty successful at getting them to stay within budget, mostly because I really emphasize that. I struggle with the timeline piece.
Interesting.
For it. And mostly because they're just balancing other jobs and jumping back and forth. And I don't want them to do that. I want to just focus on mine.
You just want them to work on yours.
Yeah. I have noticed though that if you threaten to go over there and do work yourself, they usually will like, oh, okay, no, we'll take care of it. We'll get over there.
That's amazing.
It kind of depends.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yes, that is part of it a management strategy.
Dude, we got to get this thing done. Like we had a situation where he was like, hey, we're done with the job. And the owner of the contracting company, he didn't go check it out. His guys were just there. And they didn't actually finish. There was probably like 12 things. Like there was a light switch cover that wasn't on, a register that was missing. I think one time they broke or lost the cover for the thermostat.
Okay.
There was like some blue tape that hadn't been taken
down.
Some
finishing stuff.
Yeah, whatever. And we got photos that are going to be taken on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, like today's Tuesday. We're like, we need to get this done. And so I was like, we'll just do it. Like, let's just go. But at the same time, I was like, but we should tell him this. So let's tell the owner so he knows. And like, just from had feedback and training. So he can tell his guys, hey, come on. But I'm like, but I didn't trust that he would get in that day because it took him a week to get to this point where I was like, this is like a 1-day job. Yeah. Which it was. It took him 5 days to get in there. Anyway, so we were like, hey, saw this. We're going to take care of it because this needs to get done today because we have photos taken the next day. Yeah. And he was like, no. We'll get in there pro bono. Don't worry about it. Like, we should have finished this. We're like, well, yeah.
Good.
But yeah, so anyways, it's kind of an interesting situation to get done. I was like, for me, I'm like, this is going to blow like 2 or 3 hours of my day, but not anymore, which is good. Which honestly, he did the right thing, took responsibility, said, yep, we're going to finish it. So I'm happy.
That's a good example of one of the roles of an asset manager.
Right. Thank you.
And trying to wrap your head around like, okay, what is it that you're actually doing when you're managing things? It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. You're making a phone call and
sometimes
you're
it's bringing hot chocolate to the cruise, but yeah.
Yeah. Encouraging people calling. There's lots of phone calls, lots of property visits to be like, okay, where's everything at? Are we on budget? Are we on timeline? Yeah. Like, are all the people doing what we've asked them to do? Yeah. And then letting your investors know, okay, we're on budget, we're on timeline. Right. Here's what you can expect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, you get it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last one is risk management. Identify and mitigate risks that could impact a property's performance, such as market shifts, that kind of thing. And then just ensure proper insurance and compliance with regulations as they make sense. Which is good. I got an awesome insurance guy, so it makes that part pretty easy.
Yeah.
But no, it's watching conditions. And that's something as we're in the middle of a flip, we're watching the market to see what prices are doing and readjusting our mindset for okay, maybe we'll do this, maybe do that. And it will slightly change how we do things. But
you have a range for most things, I would imagine.
Yeah. We try to be conservative on the front end of it so we don't freak out.
Right.
Which is part of where that risk management comes in, I guess, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And so another way to say why they are crucial is they act as the bridge between the ownership group, the investors, and the property management team, focusing on that big picture rather than the day-to-day operations. That's really what their role is. And they're just trying to make sure that it, performs at its highest possible way. And that, and if things shift or change, they're aware of it and they're watching it and tracking it. Yeah. So that's really what an asset manager is. And so if you hear that, you go, oh, okay, they're that person who's setting the budget and the targets. They're watching over the property manager, the contractors. They're watching the market as well and trying to make sure that the strategy maximizes value for the investors. That's what they do. Is it a 40-hour job? No, not really. But you do got to spend time on it. You got to focus on it. And there's really just having that knowledge and experience is critical. So if you're looking to invest in something, you might ask them questions within those 7 areas. Like, hey, tell me about how you will manage the contractors or how have you done it in the past, right?
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Or how do you do your market analysis?
Yeah. This dovetails pretty well with my free ebook that you can get online at furlough.com. That's called Good Deals Only. That is all about due diligence. And part of it is talking about the sponsor, and a lot of it has to do with that asset management piece of it. Yeah. But those are just good things.
Yeah, this boils it down really nicely.
Yeah. Great book. It was written for people like me, sponsors, to be like, here's how you do it right. I've told property managers, I'm like, honestly, as a property manager, you should read this book so that you understand what it is that we want you to do. Yeah. So that we are all aligned and working in the same direction. So it doesn't feel like we're fighting each other. That's advice that I give to property managers, which it turns out I am one as well. So woohoo. And so I get it when an owner comes to me, I'm like, yeah, I know what you're trying to do. And I can ask, and I can even help them out, right? Hey, let's talk about your budget. What are your expectations for returns? And I can say, hey, I saw this market trend. Is this going to change anything with your investment strategy? Let's just talk about it. Yeah. And see what that. And so I can kind of help lead them and guide them because I know at least what they should be thinking about.
That's super smart.
Owner/asset manager.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, there you go. I think it's just good and helpful stuff to know.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, awesome. Thank you. We'd love it if you left a rating or review wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And if you are interested in investing with us, you can check us out at furlough.com. We got all sorts of information there about our investing thesis and a bunch of good free download gimme freebies. Yeah.
Free
that's what I
downloads.
said. Free downloads as well. You just got to give your email address. But I mean, come on. How much is that worth, right?
You'll just get more cool stuff.
More cool stuff. Yeah, exactly. More cool messages. It's true. You will. So with that, thanks again for listening. Have a great day.